A Michigan man has been arrested accused of threatening to kill FBI Director Christopher Wray and California Congressman John Garamendi. The suspect apparently believing a child slave ring is being run out of Congress. It's not. This is just the latest in a rash of violent threats against lawmakers. So let's bring in CNN's Brent Gingras to talk about all of this with us. I mean, it just seems they get more outlandish by the day, but what can you tell us about what we know about this threat?
It's overwhelming for law enforcement at this point, how much is happening. And it's just becoming a greater concern to the FBI and to Homeland Security, because in many cases, this can be more than just words, right, guys? These threats against elected officials, law enforcement, they've been increasing. Just within recent months, several members of Congress and their families have been on the receiving end of dangerous rhetoric. And in some cases, we know that has led to physical violence. Of course, look no further than the assault of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Prosecutors are accusing a Michigan man of threatening to kill a California congressman and FBI Director Christopher Wray. According to an indictment on November 4th, Capitol Police were made aware of threatening voicemails left for Democratic Congressman John Garamendi. The accused, Neil Matthew Walter, allegedly said in a message, "John, hey John, you're gonna die, John, you're gonna die."
It's just all of the hate talk that's readily available on all of the social media platforms. It incites people to these kinds of violent threats and violent action.
In comments posted on a live stream of Wray's testimony before Congress last week, Walter allegedly wrote, "I will kill you, Director Wray. You will die. I will kill you in self-defense." Court documents allege Walter's Facebook posts had numerous comments stating beliefs about a conspiracy theory that elected politicians, government officials, Tom Cruise, and Elon Musk are involved in a child slave rape ring. One location for where this ring purportedly took place, the U.S. Capitol. On November 8th, federal authorities reached out to Michigan police to perform a welfare check. According to court documents, during the encounter, Walter refused to put down his handgun and said he would defend himself against the U.S. government. Last week, the Democratic-led Senate Homeland Security Committee released a report finding that the department and FBI are not adequately addressing domestic terrorism. Wray testified to the threat before the committee last year.
We're also countering lone domestic violent extremists, radicalized by personalized grievances, ranging from racial and ethnic bias to anti-government, anti-authority sentiment to conspiracy theories.
In fiscal year 2021, the FBI received over 8,000 referrals of possible domestic terrorism incidents. By late 2021, the FBI was conducting approximately 2,700 investigations, of which a significant portion were related to the Capitol attack on January 6.
Domestic violent extremism is a terrorism-related threat to the homeland that we have been tracking now for a considerable amount of time. It's one of the greatest terrorism-related threats we face in the homeland.
Now, something important to note here, according to the paperwork, Walter's parents told law enforcement, guys, that their son has struggled with his mental health. He has been in and out of mental health institutions. So this brings a whole nother facet of this. But Don, you even reacted to those numbers that we showed. I mean, the amount, the volume of cases that law enforcement is dealing with is overwhelming.
Yeah. It certainly is.
All right. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to bring in now, joining us now is Chinjerai Komanik, is a journalism professor at NYU, and his research focuses on the intersections of social justice and emerging media. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Professor, why are we obsessed with foreign terrorism and we're not obsessed with domestic terrorism when it is the #1 threat?
Well, you know, I think part of this does have to do with the fact that with what we call foreign terrorism, it's like they're not like us. But here, you know, it's interesting. There was a study by the Brookings Institution that said we tend to individualize these domestic terrorist acts, especially when the assailants tend to be, or the people threatening tend to be white men. We just think of them as individual incidents and not part of a larger problem. Unfortunately, as we're seeing, there really is a larger problem.
Why do we think of them as individual and not part of a larger problem?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think, who are we used to seeing as threats, right? We think of threats from the outside. Maybe we think of threats when if it's people who are trying to think critically about, you know, law enforcement, you know, black people, to be honest. But I don't think we've tended to think about these kinds of folks, even the people in the Capitol riots. I mean, one thing that's interesting is the military is increasingly concerned because a lot of their veterans are becoming vulnerable to these conspiracy theories and were disproportionately involved in these kinds of events.
When you look at this report released by the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee just last week, says that you know, the Homeland Security Department, the FBI, social media company have basically all failed to adequately address this, right? So it's not just one institution or one prong, across the board. And it's not for a lack of funding, right?
Right.
So what is it?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the funding, Poppy, because there was a sort of like $10 million released for funding, but it's not actually getting to the researchers.
To research the why?
To research the why. What makes people more likely to turn to violence in these situations? And I think that's important because there is a way forward here. We see that in the research that has come out, for example, there was a research by the National Institutes of Justice in 2015. When people become disconnected from their communities, when people who seek adventure, all these different things predict who's going to do this stuff. So there's a way forward. I think we just have to start looking for the threat in the right places.
And so much of it is legitimized, though, by not just political leaders, but also business leaders. I mean, look what happened after the Paul Pelosi attack. You saw very prominent people, maybe not outright saying the conspiracies that were surrounding that initially, but alluding to them, not including the former president, Elon Musk, all of these other figures. How much does that factor into kind of giving people the ability to say, yeah, maybe this is true?
I'm so glad you brought this up because social media clearly plays a factor here. I mean, we saw, for example, with this person recently with this threat on the FBI director, that he was posting these wild, absurd theories on Facebook. But I think that these things are being authorized by politicians who are sitting right now in Congress. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, they're playing a game, trying to appeal to some of their constituents who they think might like this, and the consequences are real. I mean, someone ran into Nancy Pelosi's home. I mean, so I think that, it's a combination of these factors. But again, when people become disconnected from their communities, when they start to sort of, buy into this stuff, there are real warning signs, and more research can help us really get to the bottom of this and find a way forward.
I think we have to realize that, look, this is all connected. I mean, from election conspiracies, right, to QAnon, to, some of the things that you hear, a lot of the things that you hear at these sort of MAGA rallies. You see the hate that's happening in Colorado Springs. It's all connected, and yet it seems like we don't really want to face it, or we don't know how to deal with it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're so right? It's sort of, it's kind of weird, and it almost seems incoherent, except that there is a real coherence. I mean, we see certain kinds of politicians promoting it. I mean, one thing I would say is that, first of all, nothing ever justifies turning to violence to solve problems, and that's what I think in the larger situation of America, we have to realize, like, that's not the way to go. But people are trying to think critically about government, and I think we should. We should be able to have different viewpoints. But these things aren't even coming from real principled critiques of government. This is like absurd fantasies about what's happening. So, again, I do think it's important to connect the dots, Don. You're right on.
We appreciate you and people like you studying it and helping us try to get our heads around it. Professor Chintanai Komunika, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great conversation.
Appreciate
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being
Thanksgiving.
with us.
All right, you too.